Shishi of Parshat VaEtchanan begins with the pasuk Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, and continues. And I want to talk about just a few psukim of the continuation. The fact that Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, v'ahavta et Hashem Elokecha, you shall love God b'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha v'chol me'odecha, with all your powers of love. Then, v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha. The words that I am commanding you this day should be upon your heart. V'shinantam levanecha, you should teach them diligently to your children. D'var Torah, and you shall speak the words of Torah, these words that I'm teaching you, when you're sitting at home, when you're going on your way, these psukim, I want to point out, these words should be al levavecha. So al levavecha could be read on your heart, or it could be read in your heart. Now, the reading of in your heart, in that sense of we're speaking English, that is really part of you, is represented in the Targum of Yonatan ben Uziel, who says that these words, this day, should be ketivin al luach lubchon, should be written on the tabula of your heart, the tablet of your heart. In other words, these truths and the implication of these truths should be taken into your heart, should be part of your heart, should become part of you, engraved, not written, which can be erased, but engraved, part of you. Al luach libchon. But of course, al can be on the sense of on the surface. Interpreting it in that sense is the observation of the Kotzker Rebbe, who once said, listen, we're not always ready to really internalize something that we've heard. Somebody might be listening to this recording and, okay, it doesn't really seem to speak to them. Now, but they listen through to the end. So the Kotzker Rebbe says, we may not be ready to take something into us, but to put it in a modern parlance, don't tune out. What does that mean? Let it sort of lie on the surface of your heart. And if it's there on the outskirts, on the suburbs of the depths of the heart, perhaps a year later, perhaps a day later, perhaps 20 or 30 years later, since it's still there, it'll come back to you. You'll remember, oh, the rabbi said this, the Rebbe said this, the teacher said this, the parents said this, somebody told me this, and now I get it. Now it means something to me. Now I understand how important it was. We're not always ready at a particular age and particular circumstances to internalize things. But just because we're not ready for it doesn't mean we shouldn't keep it in our safe place for later reference to come back to. In this spirit, let me repeat something that I've always said in yeshivot, quoting Rav Hutner, who said this once when speaking to high school students, that the minhag in Volozhin was not to call the students of the Volozhin yeshiva Talmidei HaYeshiva, but to call them Bnei HaYeshiva, the sons of the yeshiva, the children of the yeshiva. And this is really what Rashi says, V'shinantam levonecha elu ha-talmidim. These are talmidim. Matzinu b'chol makom sha-talmidim kruyim banim. Banim atem l'Hashem Elokeichem. We are students of God, banim. Right? We are children of God. So, in terms of the ben, the father then becomes, the teacher then becomes the Av. If the students are Banim, then the teachers are not teachers, but rather they are the Av. The D'var Torah, right? It's, how do we know that the fathers are called Av? And Rashi also quotes at the end, the Ukshem Shatamidim Kruim Banim Shenemar Banim Atem Lashem Lokechem Kacha Rav Karui Av. The Rav is called similarly, and that is what Elisha says of Eliyahu. Avi, my father, Eliyahu. Rechav Yisraelu Farashat. That being the case, I would like to suggest the following thing. And this comes from somebody who is an Av and a Rebbe, call it what you will, right? But to read you a next pasuk, V'shinantum levonecha, you who are listening to this, alumni of the yeshiva and anybody else, you have an obligation of teaching your sons. And here it really means literally your sons. And then the pasuk seems to continue. You have further obligation. You should also speak the words of Torah wherever you go, sitting in the lechtecha, right? So it's you should learn Torah. You should be involved in Torah. I want to explain something to you that's very important, really, truly, truly important. And I don't say that too often. Those who know me know that I don't. They are connected integrally. You have to teach your children. Yes, you teach your children, your literal children, right? But one way you teach them is frontally. So you sit down and you learn a pasuk with them. You're not, as my cousin David Applebaum used to say, you don't abandon your children to school. But aside from what you teach them, they learn from what you do. How should your children look at you? V'shinantum levonecha, yes, frontally. Learn this pasuk. V'dibar torah, but they see when you are by yourself, when you are with your friends, when you have spare time, what are you doing? What are you doing? And if what you are doing is v'dibar torah, is connected with the study of Torah, with the living of Torah, if that is the way you live your life, if your, as it were, your spare time is not committed to Netflix, but committed to Daf Yomi or committed to learning the Parsha every week, if they see that how important it is to you, just like if they see that when you go to davening, what is important is davening, and you come to shul on time, and you daven and don't have conversations, and so on and so forth, that is as much, if not more, oftentimes with children, a lesson in life than the frontal learning that you'll do. HaKadosh Baruch Hu should give us the wisdom to be good Rebbes, and to be good fathers, and to be good sons, and to be good Talmidim. Have a Shabbat Shalom.